Hi everyone, welcome to the Happy Hormones podcast with Moom. Today's episode features Ili Sulaiman. Today's episode goes through Ili's journey with PCOS, her recent heart attack, and how she's overcome all of this with immense grace. I'm so excited for you to listen to it. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I am joined today by Ili Sulaiman, celebrity chef, mom, amazing human, PCOS champion, comedian of sorts as well. And we're going to have an amazing conversation about PCOS. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say how excited I am about this conversation for various reasons. But I think the thing that I just love the most about you, Ili, is your humor and the way that through everything that you've gone through, whether it's health related, business related, just absolutely everything.
Like life challenges.
You always have a smile on your face when I see you. You're always laughing and your content is like hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thanks for having me over.
Of course.
Yeah.
But again, before we get into it, I did want to ask how you decided to kind of present yourself in a way that is so humorous and lighthearted. And was that a choice or did that just happen? I just want to know about that.
I think it's just, I don't know how to not be myself. I think that's just it. I think I'm naturally a bubbly, happy person. Don't get me wrong. I do have my
Bad
grumpy
days.
Yeah. PCOS doesn't help it.
We all do.
Yeah. And but I think generally I look at life and its challenges or whatever life throws you, and I try and take the positive. I know it's like super annoying sometimes, but I think life's too short.
Yeah.
And my story is that, right? Like I've been given a second chance to kind of like snap out of it. So I'm not gonna like sit and dwell on the past and what's wrong me or like that I had a heart attack this year, which we can go into later.
Yes.
But so I just try and see how I can make something not so great be great.
Yeah.
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 Well, and have fun
amazing.
with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone should do a little bit more of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so too.
So we're going to get into that today as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's rewind a little to why we're here. We could do a B-roll reel or something. I wanted to talk about your journey with PCOS.
Okay.
I know it's been a long journey for you, similarly for me as well, but I did want you to take us through the beginning stages of PCOS, pre-diagnosis. How did you get to the diagnosis?
So I don't think mine is as long as you, because I got to know that I had PCOS maybe when I was about 26 years old.
Okay.
And it all kind of started with missed periods. So my periods just didn't come for 6 months, and I didn't even realize it. At that point, I had just won Food Hero Asia.
Wow.
And I was just signed with Asian Food Network or Scripps Network at that time, which now owns by Discovery. But yeah, so I just had signed with them. I was shooting my first long form TV show.
Wow.
And I just had opened my first restaurant. So I was so busy and I didn't know. And I think it was when I went to the pharmacy and I realized, oh my God, I haven't bought any like menstrual products.
Wow.
Yeah, it just kind of like
clicked.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, and I was trying to figure out when was my last period.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. But I really had tail signs, like I was tired, I was fatigued.
Yeah.
I was putting on weight I couldn't lose. So when I was shooting my show, I got calls from the producer and said like, Ili, you gotta stop eating with the crew outside.
Oh my
because
gosh.
You could see like you could see from the first episode things happen. So
it's kind of mean.
Yeah, it's kind of mean, but also like it's conti, right?
Yeah.
You have to have continuity.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything. Like he was just like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing's really changed, right?" So but that is stuck with me. Like clothes were a little bit tighter, and then yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm very good with doing checkups.
Okay.
Because in my family we have a lot of cancer. Like we just have a lot of cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer in our family. So ever since I got my period, my mom has always taken me to the gynae once a year to do a checkup. So I was due for a checkup, so I went. And then she was like, okay, let's do a blood test. Because if you haven't gotten your period in 6 months, let's do a blood test. Like she scanned, she did, what do you call it?
Ultrasound.
Yeah. She did an ultrasound just to check everything's okay. And then we saw the cyst. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when the results came back, my insulin levels were elevated. And then she's like, you have PCOS. So,
wow. Okay.
And you know, this was like back in 2016, 2017. So there was not a lot of conversation that was happening around this.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. So first thing you do is you go to Mr. Google, right?
We just had a long chat about
Yeah.
Dr. Sharon's piece of advice to everyone is to no longer use Google.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where else to go. So then you see all these things, and then you know, it's such a scary word, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And you're just like, do I have cancer?
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's polycystic.
I mean, it's just a
ovarian.
scary world
It's just
on Google when you Google PCOS.
And it's also like a very scary
name
for what we have.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone who had it
Wow.
either. So then I was like, but at that time I was already starting to have quite a bit of numbers of followers on my Instagram. So again, looking at the positive side of
I
this
mean,
really shitty situation, let's be real. I was like, okay, let's put it out. So I remember putting an IG story out and be like, hey guys, I have PCOS, polycystic, and then I just kind of like took a Wikipedia like
screenshot or something.
of what it meant. And then I put it up, and then basically I had an influx of messages from women, like from all walks of life, and from you know, people who have been following me, mothers who have daughters who are suffering.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh wow, this is bigger than me.
Which is so crazy, right? Because you were diagnosed and you thought, wow, I'm the only person that has this. I feel really alone. This seems like a very daunting thing.
Yes.
And you use your platform in a very positive way.
Correct.
And I think, I'm sure when you...
Selfish first, but then it turned to be...
It's interesting that it turned into, okay, actually, I'm not alone whatsoever. There's so many more people that have this. Clearly, no one's talking about it enough.
But actually, it didn't happen straight away because I was in denial. So when I got diagnosed, I was in denial. I was like, it's fine.
So walk us through that. You got diagnosed.
So I got diagnosed. I was in denial because I didn't want to like face this big thing. Because there was a lot of really great things happening in my life.
Yeah.
Right? And you're in your 20s. You're like, I don't have time for this. I just want to go and do my thing. Right? Yeah. So I just pushed through. And it got worse because I started having all the symptoms, right? Fatigue. And then I was depressive. So I fell into really deep depression. I didn't want to see anyone. And because of that, I lost a lot of friends because people didn't understand what I was going through.
Wow.
Right? Because they're so used to seeing this really extroverted, fun, reliable Ili that's always there. And then I just became a completely different person. And I think that emotional toll really made my PCOS even worse.
Right. It's a lifestyle issue. It's not necessarily just, I mean, hormones are a lifestyle issue as well, or affected by your lifestyle. So.
I say it's like a triangle. Like PCOS is genetics, right? It's in you, and then it gets flared with certain things. So sometimes it's your adolescence going into like womanhood. It flares it. And then some women like Dr. Steph, who's my co-founder for our organization, hers flared after her child. It comes later. And for me, it was a physical and emotional and very draining part of my life. And that created that flare because I was highly stressed. Very highly emotional.
Even though you were really excited, it's like it took a toll on your body.
It took a really bad toll on my body, and then it just got bad. So after I got diagnosed, 6 months I was put on metformin. Okay, so for 6 months.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about that experience? Just to give you context, when I was diagnosed when I was 15, I was put on the birth control pill immediately.
Okay.
Ended up having a really bad experience with it, but would love to hear a little bit about what is metformin.
Okay, so metformin is a pre-diabetic medication that is given to women who have insulin resistance. Or who are diabetic, basically. And there's many different dosage. So the dosage I was given, I think, was like 250 milligrams. So it's not super high. But what it did for me was it did regulate my periods. But it changed my taste buds.
Whoa.
So I started...
And as a chef. Whoa.
So everything tasted like metal.
Oh my God.
And I just couldn't... Like, I couldn't work.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know this.
Yeah. So everything tasted like metal in my mouth.
Okay.
So I was like, no, this is not working. So being in denial, because, like 26, 27-year-old, like you're giving this pill and you instantly feel a bit better. Right?
So you're like, great.
You're like, great. But 6 months later, you're like, oh, it's not working anymore.
No.
So this magic pill doesn't work,
No.
right?
And that realization is a really hard realization in and of itself.
Yeah. Because we're so in tune with to say that there's a magic pill for everything.
Yeah.
You have a sickness, there's a magic pill. There's no there's no prevention before, you should be preventing PCOS first instead of just, relying on medication, right? So then after that, I started talking about this. So then after 6 months, I'm like, okay, this is not working out. I need help because I don't know where to go. And my gynae didn't really have that much information. She said, just do yoga and watch your food. I was like, oh, okay. It was so specific, like yoga.
Yeah, that's
not even
not even exercise. Just
like,
go to this specific yoga studio, do this specific class, and that's it.
Which I thought was like a little bit like bizarre.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm not a yoga girl. I'm like, okay, so I tried doing a yoga class. I was like, not for me, because I realized much later on, I don't like working out with other people.
Okay, well, to each their own. That's
exactly. So then I decided to talk about it on my platform.
On your platform.
Yeah, and then that's when. So this was like maybe I would say a year after I was diagnosed.
Okay.
And then I started going to the rabbit hole of like diet and like reading up and trying to apply what was happening in the West and then implementing it
in the East.
Right?
Yeah.
So the types of food that you should be eating, looking at good fats, and bad fats, and like sugar and carbs and things like that, gluten-free, dairy-free. So I started going into this and started talking more about it, but not really, like it didn't really take over my life until much later on when I started to fall back into depression. So it's always like, I feel like my body kind of tells me a signal that something's not right. And it always starts with my mood. So it starts with, I stop wanting to cook.
Wow.
And then I stop wanting to see people when I'm an extrovert and I love meeting people, especially my kind of people.
Yeah.
And then I just don't want to get out of bed. So it starts like that first. And then that's when I know instantly, okay, something's not right.
Up,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and I mean, I'm obviously dying to know, a huge part of managing PCOS is diet.
Yes.
As a chef, clearly your diagnosis really affected your job, but also I'm sure the way that you eat. Can you tell us a little bit more about how food and your role as a chef has played a role in managing your PCOS? If it has at all?
Yeah, I mean, with PCOS, I feel like it's so individualistic. It's like some people can process gluten and some people can't.
Yeah.
Some people can process like rice.
And some people
can't, right? Yeah. So it really is a very personalized
journey. Yeah.
And so what I try to do is advocate for people to start cooking wholesome food. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, don't go out and eat as much because it saves money.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. That's
the added plus.
That's
the added money. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you don't need to go out or order like food delivery every day.
Yeah. Also, healthy food outside of your home is way too expensive.
Exactly.
So
let's be real.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can get the same for 3 times. You can have 3 meals
exactly.
for the price of one.
Yeah.
So let's be real.
This is actually a money podcast starting now. How to save money. Cook your own food. Okay. And then it's obviously like, don't buy anything in a packet. Okay.
Simple as.
Yeah.
Like, don't buy anything that comes in a box. Like, like your biscuits or like gluten-free biscuits or like anything that is in a box that has like labels you don't understand.
Yeah.
So just don't.
But I think that's really, I mean, it sounds simple when you're saying it, but I actually think that's a really important message to give to people, right?
Yeah.
We talk a lot at Moom about what are simple ways you can add in things into your life that are better for you, right? And I think just simply saying, hey, you don't need to change your whole entire diet.
Yeah.
Can you start cooking simple things? And can you not buy things out of a box?
And like people think like it's so difficult. Like, oh, I can't give up gluten. I can't give up dairy. And then I'm like, you live in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Our Malaysian food doesn't have gluten, doesn't have dairy.
Yeah. It's super interesting. My next question for you was going to be around... I think it's pretty amazing that you said you were taking this knowledge that came from the West. And I do think that there is a lack of education and awareness about not only PCOS, but women's health in the region, are hoping to play a bigger role in that. And I
Yeah.
know you are as well. But
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you took that information and made it your own in the East.
Yes.
Are there any, and I know this is a very specific question, but are there any like really cool recipes or things that you came up with that were more tailored to the Malaysian, Asian diet that, you know, really helped you?
So I think that it's actually not about recreating, but it's about informing people like things like you can eat like thosai. It's very good for you.
Yeah.
It's made with lentils and rice and it's fermented. Like, so eat as much ghee thosai as you want.
Yeah.
Because ghee is good for
Ghee
you
is good
too.
for you, yeah.
And it's good for your skin and it gives you a little bit of energy.
Yeah.
And thosai is very good for you.
Yeah.
Nasi lemak. Girl, nasi lemak you can eat. You can eat nasi lemak. And you know what the tip is? I always notice as well, like when you have the insulin spike. I mean, not so much now because I'm on Moom because it helps, right?
Yes.
But when you feel like you eat something and you have that sluggishness, have a soybean milk without sugar. Just chug like a glass of soybean.
Oh, wow.
Go to the uncle.
And just ask for that?
Yeah, you know the uncle in the stores, they sell the tofu fa and all?
Yeah.
Have a tofu fa on its own.
Wow.
Because it's protein.
Yeah.
The protein, like, kind of fights away the sugar slump.
Yes.
And gives you energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just celebrated my birthday in August. So, we had cake.
We're both Leos, by the way.
I'm a Virgo.
Oh, never mind. Beep. Cut that out.
So, I just celebrated my birthday. And obviously, there was a lot of cake. And after cake, I don't really usually eat a lot of like, refined sugars. But it's my birthday. So, I'm going to have my chocolate cake. Then I felt the slump. And straight away, I brought my mug out. I put my soybean powder.
Yeah.
And I put some chia seeds in, which is what I have today.
Yeah.
Right? And I just drink that and instantly my mood goes back up.
That is an amazing hack.
Yeah. So it's just trying to find what works for you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you just need to understand the science behind food, which, to be honest, it's taken me what now? It's no, not 10 years yet, but 8 years of me being diagnosed.
Yeah, and I think, like what's so funny about PCOS, I guess it's not really funny actually, but the tough thing about PCOS is not only does it take people so long to figure out how to manage it, it also takes forever to actually get a diagnosis for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
You didn't actually know you had it until there was something glaring in your life that made you have to go to the doctor.
Correct.
But a lot of times, I'm sure that you had a lot of signs even before that, that you were ignoring.
Correct. Yeah.
And obviously lack of education is a big part of that, but it's also, we're just not told to kind of look at these signs as a way to, it be leading towards something. And so that takes a whole lot of time. And then managing it takes a whole lot of time as well.
Correct. And right, I know the signs.
Yeah.
But like, I still somehow make excuses for it. Right?
Yeah.
And you always kind of like, I'm just tired because I had a long week, or like, I feel like this because it's been tough because I'm a mom, and blah, 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 right? So I was still making those excuses. I know I have PCOS. That means I have underlying worries and underlying diseases that will lead to heart attack, heart issues, heart diagnosis, or diabetes, or cancer. I know all this. But did I
do something about it?
Did I really do everything I could to
right?
So it was okay. So it's a whole process of me understanding what PCOS is. Like that took quite a while for me to get to where I was, and then obviously because the lockdown happened, and of course COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I think that changed a lot of the way people lived, right?
Yeah.
And I was finally at home. I was able not to go out. Cook every day.
Yeah.
Because, cook every day. And then just kind of like, I was working out and I was just like really in a good mental space as well. Because I didn't have to hustle as hard, I think.
And you see how that sort of trickles down into just overall feeling a lot better.
Correct. Yeah. And then I, not having been told so many years that I would never be a mom.
Okay, that was great segue into my next question, which is thank you for leading this conversation for me. But I think, the scariest part of the diagnosis, to me at least, was when I was diagnosed, I was told, oh, it's going to be almost impossible. It's going to be super, super hard for you to have kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay, I wasn't even thinking about having kids. I'm 15 years old. Let's like wait
That's not
a
what I
second.
want right
yeah.
now. Yes.
And that was really tough to hear.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you are obviously an amazing mother. I would love to hear about how
it happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I was so afraid to even share. I'm still so afraid to share my story because I kind of already had accepted that I would never be a mom.
And is that because doctors told you that?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Doctors told me that. And also Google told you that.
Yeah.
And people tell you that.
Dr. Google specifically
Yeah, Dr.
told you
Google.
that.
And also like people around me because we already had started what is now Persatuan, our Persatuan.
Yes, which we will talk about in a
later.
second. Yeah.
So we had already started it, and I knew a lot of people around me were trying to have babies, and I wasn't really trying. Okay? Fact. I wasn't trying at all. And what I was trying to take care of myself. So I was trying to fix me and make me happy, make me the best person I could be for my husband and for my family.
Yeah.
So I didn't focus on the baby part. I was just focusing on me.
Yourself.
Yeah, my health. I wanted to have like my hair all like glowing. And
we all do.
Yeah, we all do. I wanted to fix my acne. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to feel sexy. You know, like I had just gotten married and I just wanted to just be like this new person. Right? And
and sorry to ask, but how old were you at this time?
I was 36.
Okay, so well past your diagnosis.
Yes.
You had sort of gotten into the swing of realizing, okay, now it's me time. I need to.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I was 35. So I was just kind of like just in this like place where I just wanted to look after myself, and I think that when you start loving yourself, when you start really taking care of yourself and being patient and being nurturing, magic happens. So I fell pregnant naturally.
Wow.
And it was a shock because me and my husband had planned our entire life without a baby in it.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Right? So like,
because you had this mental idea that I'm not going to be a mom.
Yeah, my husband had just submitted his master's to go and study in Germany and in the US.
Oh my gosh.
And I was tying up loose ends with like my business, Ili Pot, and telling my partners that I'm going to be away for a couple of years. Like we had already had all this planned. So when we found out we were pregnant, it was almost like we didn't know how to compute.
Like what is happening?
We're like, and then it was like we were shocked that we didn't even talk to each other for a few days because we needed to process it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, and then we went to see Dr. Christina Tai, who's also an amazing gynecologist in SGMC. And she was like, yeah, just chill. We'll wait till the 8 weeks until there's a heartbeat before you can get excited.
Right.
So right now, just like, because she knows how to manage my expectations as well,
that's
right?
That's true,
She never said to me, she was actually one of the only doctors that said to me that, no, you don't think in your head that you cannot get pregnant. She's like, take that out of your head. She's the only doctor. I've seen so many, even like...
Which is scary, right?
Which is super scary.
That is...
Doctors' bedside manners, I think, sometimes. So then...
And it's false information. Like, you can't tell people that.
So like going back to my organization,
see? Do you see this baby in me? Like,
I did. I wanted to do that so badly.
They probably saw on your Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
You're famous enough.
So that, no, and the thing is, right, I didn't share it because I was so afraid. Because I was part of this community of women trying so desperately to get pregnant. Yeah. Trying so desperately to, going through IVF and all this kind of stuff that I kept my pregnancy quiet until I couldn't anymore because I was still working. You could see my bump in all the videos. It was hilarious. So my whole team were trying to like hide it because I was so afraid I was going to lose my baby. I was going to upset all the other women, and I just was so afraid. So I just literally cocooned up.
Oh my gosh.
And that's scary too, right?
Yeah.
Because you should be able to share.
I mean, it's something to celebrate, right? And I think like we isolate ourselves when we, feel nervous about how people will react. But I do think like with PCOS, everyone is on such a journey themselves that I think it's amazing to like take room to celebrate people and
in whatever their journey is, and hold space for them, whether they're going through it or they've had miscarriages before. Like, at the end of the day, we're all women.
Yeah.
and we all go through the same pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be a little bit kinder to each other.
Yeah.
That's all I think
Yeah.
it is. It's nothing else.
No,
like, just sympathize.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
Yeah.
Just listen. That's it. Right? So, but, you know, in hindsight, I should have just kind of like, but I think I was just really cautious about losing the baby and like, you know, so, but anyways, he came out big, healthy. He was a miracle baby, definitely, and a blessing. He's 2.5 now.
That's amazing.
I mean, time goes by so quickly.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You should celebrate it now.
Yeah. But what I didn't know is after you have the baby, you still have to look after yourself.
Yes.
And women with PCOS, I think it hits us harder because we already have hormonal issues.
Yeah.
And then when you're pregnant, the baby just kind of fixes everything because everything's elevated. So you feel like some women.
Right. We were just chatting about this with Dr. Sharon too. Yeah. And essentially, like the progesterone levels when you're pregnant are so high and they basically go away after you've had a baby. And so
correct. Yeah. So
it makes sense that women with PCOS will get hit harder by it.
Yeah. So I really think that it really hit me quite hard. So after I had the baby, I had postpartum depression, which was hard. I've been depressed before, but this is a different level.
Wow.
Yeah. Coupled with trying to figure out this new baby.
Which you didn't plan for.
Yeah. And then having a C-section.
Wow.
So recovering from that surgery. It's a huge surgery. And then you have the social pressures of, I have to go back. I'm in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Feel a certain way. Be this bubbly person. And I'm lost.
Right.
And then PCOS is knocking on your door. And like, you know, your weight's not shifting. And you feel fatigue. And you got brain fog. And you are... but it's like, comes... like tenfold, like almost overnight, and it's not like, you know, with PCOS before it just slowly creeps up, but this is like bam.
So okay,
for me, I don't know about anyone else, but
you know,
for me,
I mean,
like
for people out there, because I do think a lot of women will experience something like this. How were you able to get through that with so much grace? Like, you were a public figure, you still are. Like, was that?
It was not graceful at all. So much. It looked like grace on the outside, but I was really struggling. And I have been struggling for the last couple of years. Yeah. Right? And a lot of people didn't know it. I mean, when I came back, TikTok had just taken a whole different world. So my jobs, I wasn't really on TikTok. So my jobs became scarce.
Wow.
Like, there was a huge influx of influencers and like content creators that taken over while I was on like this little cocoon, like built, you know, growing my baby inside my belly. And so the world had changed. And COVID, it was like post-COVID, right?
Right.
The whole entire world changed and I was not ready for it.
Right.
Like,
I mean, and you had a baby, so your world changed too.
Yeah. So it's like outside world changed, my internal world changed. And I just tried to I remember feeling like, oh my God, I just got to do. And I just did. 30 days after I gave birth to Micah, I was on set.
Wow.
Shooting, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But I was crying before and I just sucked it up and then I just went out and I did my thing.
Okay.
And like nobody knows this, right?
Yeah.
But I was going through so much and I just kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing. And I knew that what I was doing was not right because I wasn't getting the jobs because I wasn't happy. And then I became this like almost like a monster. I could see, like, you know, when you have these moments, this PCOS, you can morph out of yourself. You're like, you're going cuckoo banana. I don't know whether you've done that,
bananas.
But you're like, you
I
know,
like that phrase.
Yeah, with like your husband or your family, like, you know, you go cuckoo.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
But you can't stop it. You're just like, Ili, you're cuckoo, but I can't stop it. I'm still like going, like, so that was happening, but I just like, no, I can't. I have this baby. I have this business. And I was just trying to prove something. Yeah. To who? I don't know. Yeah. And it just like, and I think that it's then last year, June 2023, I stopped cooking. So the signs were there. I stopped cooking. I didn't want to see anyone.
Oh, wow. So you really have like a very specific... Well, I mean,
routine.
not routine, but it's pretty amazing, right? You recognize the signs your body's telling you.
Yeah, because I've had
whether it's emotional or physical.
Yeah, so it starts with that, and then for the first time I had a different set of symptoms. So not only the periods were delayed, but it was also painful, and then because I have endometriosis,
right?
Yeah, so very painful, and then I had really bad flares, inflammation.
Wow.
So my PCOS is insulin resistant.
Right.
Okay. I don't have hormonal. I just have insulin.
Yeah.
So now I have inflammation.
Yeah.
Which I've never had. So I had psoriasis on my scalp. I had eczema.
Wow.
On my neck, everywhere.
Yeah.
In my inner thighs, my belly. I was like, what is going on?
I think something people don't really know about PCOS is you can start out with a certain set of symptoms, but over time those symptoms can evolve.
Correct.
In the same way you might evolve as well. Like similarly to you, I had never really had a weight gain issue growing up. I didn't have that side of PCOS. And I don't necessarily have that now, but I've had a lot of digestive issues that have come up later in life. I have recently, like very, very recently noticed like a huge intolerance to gluten. And just the way that it bloats me, I don't feel good. I feel extremely sluggish. And it's not because I'm like trying to latch onto some diet.
No.
I can actually feel it being really whack in my body. And you know, when I talk to doctors about it, it's like that could be a symptom of my PCOS that comes up and it shows up in a different way than it did, you know, maybe 10 years ago. I now have regular periods, but I don't necessarily, you know, I might have some other part of PCOS. It doesn't go away. There's no cure to PCOS.
No.
Yeah.
There is no cure. You just have to manage it, and it comes in waves, right?
Yeah.
So this third wave that hit me. Yeah, third wave. So the inflammation was really bad. I was so inflamed that I just had this like rash all over my face, and I would itch, and it would just never go away.
Wow.
And I didn't know what was going on, but it was like my body trying to tell me like you're on fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
Because I was still pushing.
Yeah.
Okay? At that time I was still pushing. And then I remember speaking to my partners and telling them that, look, I think I need to take a break, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, like we heard,
right?
Like go. So I took halfway through November, I took a break. And then I was cooking. I was starting to feel a bit better.
Right.
But
like
I was
getting
cooking,
back into yourself.
But then it was like the holidays, right? So it was like Christmas, New Year's,
Yeah.
and I have a bit of time off now. I want to spend it with family and my son. But so I was still like very active, right? And then New Year's Eve hit, and we had some friends over, and I remember feeling so tired, and I had backache, I had a headache, and my jaw was clenched, and then I had nausea. I was nauseated. I was like, what is going on? So I was like, maybe I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, can't be. So then my husband was like, no, let's take your blood pressure. So we took my blood pressure. It was through the roof. It was like 168 over 128 or 38 or something like that. Really, really high.
Yeah.
So he gave me like 2 aspirins.
Yeah.
Take the aspirins, the blood thinners, right? He's very good. He's supposed to be a doctor. He became an architect, but that's another story. But yeah.
I guess
so, and then we have like
you're studying some lines. I don't know.
But like we have sickly people. Like we look after like older people in our family. So he's always like in charge of medication and stuff. So he was like, just lie down. I'm going to monitor you the whole night. And my blood pressure was still high the entire night, but I just fell asleep. I woke up the next day. I still felt the same, and I had chest pains.
Oh my god!
He's like, grab your bag. He called.
We're going to the hospital.
Yeah, so we called my in-laws to come and look after the baby. We went to the hospital. I went to UM, which is like a government hospital.
Right.
Because it was New Year's. I was like, I'm not going to go private.
Yeah.
Right? No one's going to be around.
Yeah.
Let's be real. So we went to UM. I gave my IC, and within 10 minutes, I was on the stretcher, ECG. They had taken my blood. That's how serious it was.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he literally laid out all the symptoms, and I was like, yep. So women's symptoms are very different.
For heart failure.
For heart attack.
Heart attack.
Yeah. So the only thing I didn't have is probably I would have had it was shortness of breath, but because I was at home, I wasn't really like climbing stairs or whatever. I didn't have that, and heartburn. I didn't have heartburn, but I had all the other symptoms.
Oh my god!
So the headache, the backache, the clenched jaw, the nausea, the fatigue.
Yeah.
These are all symptoms of heart attack. And then the the cramp. So it feels like a period cramp
In your heart.
in your top boob, like your left hand side.
Oh my gosh.
So when the doctor asked me, okay, you have a baby? I was like, yeah. She's like, natural? I was like, no. And now she's like, okay, do you have period cramps? I was like, yeah, I have endo. Okay. It's like, your endo pain is like, what? I said 10. 8, 10, right? She's like, how painful was this? I was like, it was a 3.
Oh my gosh.
So then I realized, she's like, yeah, a lot of women think that it's nothing, it's like muscle pull. Because our pain threshold is so high that when we're in pain, we don't know that it's serious.
Wow.
But our 3 is a 10 to a guy. Like, they're dying. No offense.
No offense.
But my 3 is a 10.
To our team over here.
Yeah. So, and then you know what was like really scary as well? There was a lady next to me. She was probably in her early 40s. She had a stroke. And then in my ward, there was 3 other women around my age, all around my age, all had heart attacks. I'm not joking. So it's like, it's so much more common nowadays. And people are not talking about it.
Yeah.
We hear a lot of stories about, a lot of my guy friends all have heart problems.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about the guys. We never hear about the girls.
Was there anything you took from that experience that made you understand, like specifically in the women's health space, I guess, or connected to your endo or your PCOS?
Yes. So it's basically, I would say that it was, so after doing all the tests, we found out there was no blockages. But it was just due to stress.
Wow.
So basically my PCOS was really warning me, but I didn't listen.
Right.
So it's almost like PCOS is kind of like your superhero.
Yeah.
It's kind of telling you like when you need to slow down. So your periods stop. Yeah. It's telling you something needs to change. Your diet, your lifestyle, your stress.
I think,
right?
Just to interrupt you for a second, I think a lot of times, like if you take one thing from this episode, I think it's listen to your body.
Yes.
But I think a lot of times when you hear that phrase, people say, well, what does that even actually mean? Yeah. And I think you're about to explain what that meant to you, right?
Like what is...
Please continue.
What is the PCOS hero, right?
Yeah.
What is
what does listening to your body mean?
Yeah. So listening to your body means that if you don't feel like something is right, so your period stops, you have inflammation that no amount of like anti... what do you call it?
Like inflammatories are
going to fix anything. You take Zyrtex, whatever you want to take, it's not going to work. You drink a whole turmeric juice, it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work.
It's beyond that.
That's beyond that already.
Yeah.
When you have headaches that don't go away, when you have a backache that doesn't go away, when you have headache, backache, clenched jaw, you feel nauseated,
pain in your
chest, go to the hospital. Just go, because like I just went literally in like, I just had a t-shirt and jeans on, like a bag, and they didn't let me go home. They're like, if you go, the chances of you having another episode is very high. When you have a heart attack, there's a golden window, and a stroke as well.
Yeah.
5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
They can actually give you medication so it doesn't occur again. And this is so important. So a lot of people don't know this. So when you have the symptoms, go. Especially in Malaysia, we have really good healthcare. I was taken care so well. And I was really treated so well, and like utilize it. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? We live here. And listen to your body, because your body, this is your wealth.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and like, obviously like tired, but also just kind of like, oh my God, like what have I been doing? Right?
Like it all kind of hits you.
Yeah, but it was also like a blessing. See, me again. So I'm sitting there, just had a heart attack, and I'm going, oh, now I have an excuse to tell people to stop bothering me. Because before
if that's what you get from this episode.
No, because like, as somebody who's always like trying to do better, hustle, and blah, 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 blah. It was for me like kind of like, oh, I have this nugget now. So I now have like a reason to tell people that I can't do it because I had a heart attack, and they take that really seriously.
But I mean, yes, I would also take that pretty seriously.
Right? Yeah.
But I don't think you always need a reason to tell people that you can't do things.
Maybe maybe for you, yes, but for me, it was very hard. For
No,
me to say,
I think it's hard as well. I just mean, like, I think that's something societal.
And you know, and it's okay to use this as a reason. Like, my health is more important.
Exactly.
So it's not really the heart attack. It's like
it's
my
your
health
overall
is important.
Health,
And if you can't understand that, and you still pushing me as a friend to do something, or you're still like as a client, you still want me to do something, and I just can't, then maybe this is not meant to work out.
Yeah, I think that's
like this not working.
This right here.
Not working. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm serious. I think it's like quite amazing. But I do want to touch upon something. I think, through, again, a lot of the health issues that you've gone through, especially your PCOS, you have become this really amazing champion. And I think, your initial posting on Instagram might have sparked that, and it's gone a long way since then.
Yeah.
You've created your own organization with two friends of yours who are also super knowledgeable in this space. I would love to hear a little bit about how you decided to become a champion of not only health in general, but PCOS specifically.
Yeah.
And a little bit about your organization.
So we met because we were all talking about it individually in our all platforms. So we were actually connected by friends who didn't have PCOS.
Oh my gosh.
Husbands.
Yeah.
Friends of husbands.
Yeah,
so it was really fun. So Steph's husband and my husband have a mutual friend, a guy friend, who connected us.
Okay.
Really funny.
Yeah.
Dina, old classmate, happened to be one of my ex-work colleagues.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, not even like, it was like 2-3,
degrees of separation.
It's not even like, so they said like, you guys should meet and then see what happens. So when we met, it was almost like kindred spirits, because for the first time, we met somebody who was going through the same things, but we're also like trying to figure it out. And we were like, if we are trying to figure it out, and we have the resources and we have the knowledge. And, Steph is like, she has her own pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
And like Dina as well, like she's had PCOS since adolescence. Like we've been working on ourselves for so long that we felt that we needed to come together to provide a platform for other women, to help other women so they don't feel so alone. So that's how it initially started. And then, obviously, in the last 2 years, we managed to get our non-profit status.
Wow.
So we're known as Persatuan Sokongan PCOS Kuala Lumpur dan Selangor. So, and in English, it's called PCOS Support Association. So PSA.
Yeah.
For short. And it's wonderful because, like, we're now really busy during the lockdown, during COVID. We had the time to kind of like revive and bring this community together. But life is lifing, right? We all Steph had 2 kids, and Dina has a baby, and I have a baby, and like we're now at geo status, so we're trying to revive it again, and hopefully like bring more awareness towards PCOS, working with institutions like healthcare institutions. Actually, we're going to be associated with Yobo Clinic. It's in a wellness center in Publica. So we'll have like a permanent place where women can come and find information about PCOS. They can do their blood tests there. They can do their labs basically. So we're fundraising at the moment to kind of like have some resources so we can give back to the community. And we do our community Sunday walks every last Sunday of the month, which has been incredible. It started out with 6 women. Now we have like 35 every time we go for a walk, which is great. I feel like it's so simple, but women just want to feel like they're connected to something.
Yeah, I think, that's something we take so seriously at Moom as well, as making sure that you're bringing the community together. But I think PSA in general is amazing that it's so focused on PCOS and really creating awareness about it. Yeah. Because there's such a lack of education surrounding these
So our
things.
website has all the information. Dr. Sharon is one of our panel doctors, and it's just great because like if I had this when I was diagnosed, it would have made my life so much easier. Yeah. Right? I could have gotten better a lot faster. Yeah. And just things would have been maybe didn't need to escalate.
I think even just like finding someone you can relate to and talk to about the same things that you're experiencing. Even if it's just like, hey, I've missed my period for the last couple of months. Is this normal?
No.
No, it's not
normal.
It's really funny because I think even for myself, like when I became really knowledgeable about PCOS and I really understood female hormones and just the whole system, I started having people just coming to me, friends, just asking me questions.
About period care, right?
About periods.
Yeah.
Like I distinctly remember a colleague of mine being like, hey, I'm having these symptoms. It feels like something's up. And I'm like, I am like 100% sure you have PCOS. Please go see a doctor.
Yeah.
She went to see a doctor, got the diagnosis. And it's like, if those conversations can be happening at a larger scale, it would just, make all of our lives so much better.
Yeah. And we're really hoping that we can be a part of a research study that's based on Southeast Asian women, So a lot of like big plans that are like, that are in our works, but it's going to take some time. So we need all the support we can get. And we need like people like you and Moom to also like come together, because it's not about it's all relative. Like whatever you're doing is helping a huge bunch of people. And it's not just women, you're also like enriching their family's life, because like, and it's the same with us, right?
Yeah.
We welcome everybody. So on our walks, we sometimes have husbands, fathers, like cousins, like people who don't have PCOS, sisters, and they just come along because like it really does affect the whole family. Right?
It does. Because it's so funny when Millie and I, who's my co-founder, present Moom to people, and we talk a little bit about our founding story, which has a lot to do with my PCOS journey.
Yeah.
A lot of times Millie's actually presenting that portion, and sometimes people are like, why is Millie talking about Maya? But we always say that like my diagnosis became the family affair.
Yeah.
Like it was a conversation for everyone to be a part of it, not just me, because everyone was so confused as to what was happening.
Yeah, and then when you go cuckoo bananas, like who gets it?
Yeah, exactly.
Family, right?
Exactly.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like the family is the one who sees you in your lowest point, in your highest point, and like, and it's like I feel like PCOS is a superpower because it really gets you to acknowledge and get in tune to your body and what your body needs.
Yeah.
So it flares up because you need to something in your life needs to be
realigned.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have two very last questions for you. One fun one and then one not so fun one. So I guess they're both fun.
Not so fun one, then we can end on the high.
Okay, so the last one could be fun too. I wanted to ask if you had one piece of advice you could give a fellow PCOS patient or someone that's struggling with endometriosis, PCOS, today, what would you tell them?
That you're not alone. That's one. That you can live a full and rich life if you are open to change.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah. And that there are so many amazing resources and supplements like Moom that you can start implementing in your life.
Yeah.
It takes time, so you have to be very patient. I feel like PCOS we're so eager to like be fast.
Yeah.
Everything's like so like too fast.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this journey, PCOS is telling you to slow down. So when you want to try and implement something like a diet change or a supplement that you're taking, whatever it is, you need to like ride it through at least 3 months, 6 months before you can start seeing the changes. So don't be so impatient in your body. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good segue into my next question. Again, great segues we have today.
Perfect.
My next question was going to be, what's your favorite Moom supplement? And the reason that I ask this
oh my God,
is because, I'm hoping it's this one right next to us. But I think for everyone to know, it's always really amazing meeting women and as a founder of a brand, getting them to try your supplements. And I think what I appreciate the most about you is your brutal honesty.
Yeah.
You've always
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that this was.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
No, and like I think that's really amazing, right? Because overall, we are trying to do something for the modern Asian woman, and you are exactly that person. And I think getting feedback from you is so important. But it's also just a fun question for me selfishly to ask you.
So actually, like the first product I fell in love with is your D-bloat.
Yeah, that's
and then when this came out, I was like, she's my best friend. So I didn't want to say anything because when I first got it was like, 4 months ago? Probably.
April.
Yeah, kan?
April.
Yeah, so for
April,
for,
May,
for
June,
5
July,
months, yeah.
August, September. Almost.
Yeah,
six,
but I got
whatever.
it like a bit. I started taking it a bit
bit
later
late,
because
yeah.
I was still under medication for my heart. So I needed to get the okay from my doctor.
Yeah.
And it was like during Ramadan and all that. So I didn't want to be taking this because it affects your sugar, right? So your insulin. So I only started taking it in May. And I said to Sarah, I said to one of the Moom staff, I was like, I'm not going to mention anything. I'm going to do this, take it for like, but I start seeing the results already after 2 months.
Wow.
Period regular, no more pain. So no more, I have endo, right?
Yeah.
And it's really helped with my cramps.
Wow.
I almost like don't have any cramps. I feel a very different sensation with numbness instead of pain.
Whoa.
Which I've never felt because I've always been in pain.
Yeah. So you're like, what's happening
What's
now?
happening? I was like, oh, this I can deal with.
Yeah,
you know?
this is like...
So it works for me.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. And,
I think inositol in general is just such an incredible supplement.
Correct.
I'm probably sounding like a broken record to everyone out there, but it really is amazing.
Yes.
I have never had a regular period up until taking happy hormones, so it's like really changed my life as well. Really happy to hear that you love it.
So debloat and this. Debloat when you're being naughty, you want to eat a bit of gluten, you know.
Well, you're a
it's
chef.
your birthday, you know,
Yeah.
and that you want to indulge,
You
you want to
need
go
it,
out for dinner with your husband or whatever it is, your family, you want to, you can have debloat, but this one is definitely my favorite now.
Well, okay, thank you so much, Ili, for sharing so much about your journey. I hope it's helpful to some out there, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.